Ever had a conversation where you made a bold statement, then paused, tilted your head, and said, "On second thought"? Welcome to On Second Thought with Eric Ritchie and Bish Bates, where hot takes meet humble pivots, where leadership, life, and current events collide, and where it's perfectly fine to change your mind, out loud. Whether it's marriage, manhood, or the madness in the media, Eric and Bish bring humor, heart, and a little healthy debate, because wisdom lives on the other side of, "Wait, let me rethink that." This is On Second Thought. Press play and be ready to pause.
How are you feeling today?
I am okay, man. I am okay. Nice long night of sleep, so it's good.
That does help, right?
It does. Yeah.
You're the worst at sleeping in. You got some iced tea you got going on there? Some weak ass tea?
What this?
Uh-huh.
Oh, this is a special concoction, sir.
I like to hear how it starts with something orange.
That is what I call, now, because it's special, you may not have heard about it before, but that's what I call apple juice.
Oh, apple juice with ice.
With ice, yes.
So you make that
very special.
very
together
special.
Myself, yeah.
You having apple juice with some popcorn?
No, Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces sounds like a healthy start to the day. I like it.
Well, it started with sushi. This is my snack.
Sushi and peanut butter. It sounds like it's going to go well together.
I think it will, man. I think later on today,
you're going to feel that.
Yeah, some special stuff, man.
So, how you been doing? Last I heard, what, you went skiing or something?
Yeah. We went. Let's see. We went. Had the getaway. Well, it was a ski trip though, so it wasn't a. I wouldn't call it I didn't go skiing. We were at a ski resort. I think some people did go skiing, but it was actually hella cold. Like it was like legitimately, up here in Maryland, it was teens or something like that. But up there in the mountains of Maryland, it was a couple of days. It was -2 degrees, -3 degrees, and then the wind chill was -20. So we kept our black behinds indoors. You know what I'm saying? We most definitely did. So we did go snow tubing, and the snow tubing was fun. And I'll drop a little video of the snow tubing there. But we did go snow tubing.
There you go. Sure. So that type of stuff. Woo, here we go. Oh.
And then we tried to go outside. Last time we did it, we had these s'mores. So we did like s'mores and smoked cigars outside at the fire pit that they have. The main fire pit they had was broken, was under repair. So we went to another fire pit, and it was not the same. A fire pit can heat you just fine when the temperature's like 30, 35 degrees outside. When the temperature's -20, it doesn't do so much. You know what I'm saying? So it was quick. And we didn't last very long out there. So at least that's what she said. You know what I'm saying? So,
I get it because we got a hot tub probably about a year or so ago, and then we got one of those outdoor heaters. The ones that you get at the industrial.
Oh yeah, I know. We got one of those with the little lid on top of it.
Yeah, the little lid on top of it that you get.
Yeah, those are really good.
Patio seating. Well, so the idea last year when we had a snowstorm was I take the boys outside, we jump in the hot tub, and then when we get out, we'd have the heater already on right by the stairs when you get out, and it won't be so bad when you get out of a hot tub and it's like 20 degrees outside. That's actually not true. Yeah. It was freezing. I think we went running inside wet because that heater did nothing outside of the hot tub. So it was. There's no good way of going into water and coming out feeling okay in cold weather. I don't know how people do it. I've seen the mountain pictures where people are surrounded by snow and they go into the hot tub and it looks nice on camera. And then your body goes numb and wants to shut down. Like I know you guys do like what do you do? The polar bear dip or something like that?
Plunge,
as a fun, as
it's a fundraiser. Oh, okay, this is a fun activity. I was like, no, that is a fun activity as a fundraiser.
But how does your body? Because you don't even run out of that into a heater. Like there wasn't a heater ready for you guys. So when you go into that cold water and you come out, which I heard it was delayed because it was too cold at one point, which is interesting.
So it wasn't delayed. So so what happened was some of it was delayed. So if the high schoolers that were going to do it, they delayed them because they didn't want to have like child death on their thing, you know what I'm saying? But they were like, the adults signed up for it, so we don't care if they die, you know what I'm saying? And so
right. Their body's stronger.
Yeah, the adults didn't get delayed, right? The kids got delayed, the adults did not get delayed.
Okay. That's funny.
Yeah, it is cool. But they actually changed it because you used to go all the way in and you could dunk yourself and that sort of thing. And now they switched it up this year because it was so cold. No, keep going down. Keep going down.
Waist. You get to your waist.
Keep going down.
Your knees?
Knees. You could go knee high. That was it. That was all. That's how cold it was. Listen, okay, so there's sort of the Chesapeake Bay part that we go in, but there's these side little inlets, I guess you would call it. You know what I'm saying? The inlets were frozen solid, right? Solid. So it's cold, right? The inlets are frozen solid. And the Chesapeake Bay had floating ice on it. And then in the sand, Mike, then in the sand, as you go out, it's ice and sand. You're walking on ice and sand on the way out. It was nuts. It was nuts. So I was completely happy. And so you didn't get completely undressed. Normally you would have, pretty much just shorts on or swim trunks on and you would go in and do it. Because I wasn't getting down, I had like a sweatsuit on and I pulled my sweatpants up to my knees. I was just going up to my knees, but some people were crazy. I won't say what they look like, but they did not look like me. And they were essentially naked, except for like the swim trunks or little Speedos. And they actually went under, even though the police officers were like, they have like the diving suits on, and they're out there and they're like, don't do it. Then some people went out and did it anyway. It was interesting, but it was hella cold. It was like as soon as like before I even got into, and I forgot my water shoes by the way, but before I even got into the water, I was like, this is a bad idea. I'm going up to my knees. Wow. Holy cow. Whoa. All right. Up to the knees. Up to the knees. Up to the knees. Oh, that is crazy. Wow. Oh, my feet are dying right now. And I did it last year, and last year it was like a bunch of us, and we went in and we went under, and we went under for like 5 to 7 seconds, and then came out. And this time I was happy that they did up to the knees because I probably would have been
quickly. What's your plan for warming up quickly after something like that?
So you're cold, but they have warming tents. So the place where you change your clothes and change back in is warming tents, and they have really, really powerful heaters in there.
Okay.
So so it's very warm in the tent, but you can also sort of go in front of a heater. It's blowing out, hot air pretty good. And so that's what a bunch of us did, especially to warm our feet up and legs up because they were really cold. So the warming tents work pretty well. They do a pretty good job. So, and I would say the distance between the water and the warming tents is maybe 100 feet. It's not that far.
So you're running to that tent. You're running to that tent. You're trying to get your numb legs to get you 100 feet up the beach just to warm up. And it sounds like they have like industrial warmers, like what the NFL has for the players. Yeah. It looks like a jet warmer just shooting out at you. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, so it was good. And again, it was a tent, so it was covered, so it kept the warmth in too. So the actual warmth the tent was pretty warm too. So so they did a good job in that way. But yeah, that polar plunge stuff, man, that is when it's extra cold, it's sort of it takes all the joy out of it.
Well, you raised money. It's not for your pleasure. Yeah. It's to raise money. Did you do a good job? Did you guys raise some good money?
We did. I don't remember the exact number, to be honest with you, but yeah, we raised some money for it. So
oh, you're not on that committee that says here's where we're at, here's how we're scheduling this, planning it, and here's what we're making.
Yeah, and I'm on the website and everything, but that requires a memory.
I remember.
Because me remembering what was on there. You know what I'm saying? I do not remember what was on there. So
All right, but you feel it was worth it. Yes, anything for charity is a good thing, right?
yes, well, almost anything for charity.
This was for scholarships, I assume.
No, it's for the Special Olympics of Maryland.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Good,
So for the
okay.
Special Olympians, it's raising money for them. So yeah, that's what that's for.
Yeah, I was really surprised. We're watching the Olympics, the Winter Olympics now. My boys are like, so they must get paid a lot. And I'm like, no, usually they have to hold down other jobs and they're doing other things. Even though they represent the country, we are one of the countries that really don't reward our Olympians really well. Whereas other countries, like you win a medal, you're getting a house. You know,
Really?
you don't have to work again. Yeah.
Wow.
In some
Okay.
countries, it's like, it's a big deal. And for us, we'll send 400 people. I'm like, all right, good luck, y'all. Get something, but you're going to figure out how you get there, So
Yeah.
it's
Well, no.
definitely
I'm sure
tough,
we
so.
pay for them to go to the Olympics.
Something. Yeah, but not the
Yeah.
training and everything else that
Yeah,
goes
no.
involved in it. Yeah.
And I'm not sure how the amateur athletes, like, because I know they're considered amateurs, I think, for the most part, right?
They're
And
supposed to be, except for hockey and basketball, I guess.
So I'm curious how if you can get sponsorships, how do you actually get paid? Like, it has to be some sort of loophole to the whole thing, right? There has to be a way for money to come to them somehow to support what they have to do, right? I'm curious how that part works. Like, I'm sure if you sponsor the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
No. I watched some of the recaps or not even the recaps, I watch like a sports shows and they talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So all the major things that happen, I hear about it. Although I did watch Chloe Kim do like the half pipe thing or something at one point, but for the most part, no. Like, I saw the Lindsey Vonn thing after the fact, and I heard about the dude called Quad God or something who struggled, and even though he could have just did a simple routine, I think I heard, and got a medal, but he tried to do his real routine, and kudos to him, but he ended up not medaling. So I hear those things, but I don't watch any of it. So
yeah, that's a shame. He has not lost in like almost 3 years, like 2.5, 3 years. He's never lost any. And I think that the Olympics is just a different world. I mean, the whole reason that Biles pulled out was because it just got stressful, right? It became a lot.
Simone Biles,
Simone Biles, 8 years ago. And people are like, what's going on? Well, it seems like this should have been one of those things where he pulled out of for mental health or whatever, because it's a lot, 21 years old, your first time on the stage. He earned it 4 years ago when he was 17, and the committee decided he was too young to go and represent. So he didn't get the experience on the stage that he probably should have.
Wow.
And so they held him back, even though he was on the podium 4 years ago. They made a different decision. So then this year he comes out and he did good for the team event, even though he said he only gave it half his effort, which is not anything you ever want to hear from a sports person. And that's just his immaturity, his youth showing right there. He's I didn't do good because I didn't try as hard. But when it's individual, I will try harder. And it's like, well, no, you sound like a dick. But okay.
Now it sounds like karma. Sounds like karma.
Yeah. Something came back and said, okay, now you gave it 100% and you failed twice, so, and you came in 8th place. And if you went in and did a simple routine, you probably would have won, which is a couple of jumps. But it's also bad when you give yourself your own nickname, right?
Did he give himself that name, the Quad God? Okay, I didn't know that. And by the way, is that about his quadriceps? I just know. Oh, it's the 4 spins or something.
Yeah, so it's funny. He originally named himself the Quad Guy, and everyone's like, we all have quads, man. Like you're thinking the quadriceps, right?
Yeah.
And so then he's like, okay, that does make sense. So that's where he came up with Quad God, because he's the only one he's the only one in the world that can do this, and it wasn't on display for the gold medal, which is just really that tells you how tough it is, but how much it gets into your psyche as well, Yeah, for sure. So we'll see if he's back in 4 years or not, so it'd be interesting for sure. But I don't understand the Winter Olympics as well as I understand the Summer Olympics. Like, I understand running and track, and I don't get what is this sliding a stone on the ice, curling. Yes,
they make up. Honestly, they make up so many sports. I'm just like, that's not a real sport.
And these people jumping and just flying through the air to fall on their skis, you know, the sky jumper or whatever. I don't even know what
do they do anything in the air, or are
nope,
they
just flat. So they're just falling. If you
is it
see
how far they go?
yeah, you're trying to go how far you can go and hold
I can see distance. Okay.
but you're all just they're all just falling down a hill. It's just you're falling into gravity. Like if you see the angle of it, they're just trying to fall with style, you know. So it's just where's the points? I don't like. Is it who's going the furthest? Is it who flies and looks amazing? Like just some of these things I just don't get, you know.
Right.
So but I understand the Summer Olympics better for sure.
Because those are like real sports. Well, real sports, but also
Be careful. Real sports.
they're sports that regular people play, right? You know, if you think about it, I mean, that's part of what when we say real sports. I don't mean like what like people say golf is a sport. I don't mean that version of real sports. I mean it's sports that people play, right? So if you think about people run, people, you know, people jump, or not jump, but they, you know, they do the track and field. Like people do those things. What percentage of human beings go down the ski thing and do it, right? You know, even snowboarding is a little bit more of a sport than I would say some of the like skiing.
They have snowboard racing, dude.
I saw that. That looked very odd to me.
And I'm like, they don't do that with skateboards. What are you doing with what is going on right now? Yeah, it's that's just weird. I don't know. It's just different. So I don't think it's easy for by any means because you're there with your peers. But even like the ice skating, the speed skating, oh my God, you know, like it was over so fast, and our person and the ladies came in number 5. And I was like, wait, she doesn't get another round. She doesn't get another chance to do this again. It's just a 2 by 2 by 2, and whoever has the fastest score. Because you know, sometimes you're pushed harder. Did you do track or anything like that when you were in school?
You mean like run track or just like go
run
to a track? No, like I've been to a track. Didn't like run as a sport. No.
So usually there's rounds. Yeah, I did track. So it's like, okay, so you try to qualify, and then you're running to the last one, and like that's not what happened here. Yeah, there's heats because if you're paired with someone who's faster, you're going to tend to run faster.
Right.
You just that the challenge is there. So if you're with somebody who maybe isn't as fast, I think that puts you at a disadvantage because it doesn't push you. And unfortunately, so it doesn't set you up for success because maybe you beat them, but you don't have the fastest time.
So are you saying that for these things there was no heats? Like the one time they did it, that was it?
You know, that's good. I don't know because I can't keep up with the production of the Olympics. I don't know if it's the 3rd heat, the 4th heat. I just know what they're showing us. You know, and saying, okay, well, here's what they're going for the gold, and I'm like, how did they get here? You know, they don't really get into that so much because it's on like 5 different channels, right? You know, it's on like USA, Peacock, if you have that, NBC, and it's like MSNBC. Is like, when do I find it? Is this a repeat? Is this like heat number 3? Is it what's going on here? You know, so yeah, it's just different with the Winter Olympics for sure. I mean, I like to watch it, you know, but it's just interesting. Like skeleton. How many times do you get to go down a ramp, you know, heads first? Yeah, that's when you're on the luge track, or basically the bobsled track, but you're going head first down. And
are you on something? You're on something, right?
You're on a sled, of course. Yeah, you're not on your belly, but you're just going straight down. Like again, this isn't something you can do. Like, hey, I'm going to go to Colorado, and instead of skiing, I'm going to try to go down this mountain head first on ice.
Right.
Not a thing you
that's
see.
What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like you're a penguin, you know. So yeah.
It's not a sport. It's not a what do you call it? Like a sport.
It feels like it would be in the Red Bull games. Put it in the Red Bull. You know?
Yeah, like but a sport that people would just do. It's not a sport that people would just do. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like regular people, and I don't mean like non-Eskimo regular people. I mean just like regular people would just go. I'm going to go do this thing. Like it's not like skiing. A lot of skiing stuff. People ski, right? People snowboard, right? So those are some of those are regular sports. But some of these things, it's like you would only like when do you do it if you're not trying to be an Olympian? Like if you only do this sport to be in the Olympics, then it shouldn't be an Olympic sport. Does that make sense? If you do it to not be in the Olympics, you know, because then it's a sport to add in. But you don't.
Well, let me ask you if if curling is an Olympic sport, why is shuffleboard not during the summer? Because it's just the
Because
it's
they
just
have
the
real
dry
sports
version.
in the summer, and so nobody would watch curling. Why don't we do corn? Is cornhole an Olympic sport? Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's new. It's a new one. I found out, but
Wait, it really is. You're joking.
it's a new. Curling is new. Yeah.
No, I said cornhole. It's cornhole. Like, I
don't think it's an Olympic.
You understand? Like that. That's at
but
least something that people do.
It's definitely on ESPN.
Yes, because they had nothing to put on at some point in between the major seasons. Yeah.
By
the way, I thought I was good. I was semi good at cornhole till I watched those professionals, and I was like, yeah, I suck at cornhole.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Some people take it seriously. Your camera went blurry, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if you see it on your side, but on my side,
I do. You know, zoom catch. Come on, buddy.
Your hand is good. Your hand is crisp.
There we go. Yeah,
there it is.
Don't know what happened there. All right. Thank you for saying that, though. But yeah, so I, you know, you're right. The real sport versus not real sport is probably hard to say, but I would say a sport that you would see lots of people playing casually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For fun. You know, then I'll call it a real sport. You know what I'm saying? Or I would call it a sport worthy of being in the Olympics. I don't think some of these sports are they're just so niche.
Yeah,
you know, that I think they shouldn't be in there. But you know, but it's not my call. I mean, they're adding like flag football in the Olympics, and I think that's just a way of putting American football in, but without everybody getting killed, you know, and having all the equipment stuff. I actually would watch flag football, though. By the way,
did you watch the Pro Bowl flag football style?
I did not.
So you said you would watch it.
Well, that's watching the Pro Bowl is different from watching like
it's supposed to be the best of. I was trying to explain to my kids who never experienced the real Pro Bowl. Or they were too young. I said, these are supposed to be the best of the best players that used to play football on this day, on the Pro Bowl, except the people going to the Super Bowl did not play, you know, and these were and they used to have skill things like you had the football, the quarterbacks would try to hit, you know, these long targets and everything. And it used to be like the setup going into the Pro Bowl where the best of the best would play. You could see them play their position really well. And then I guess people wanted to not get hurt or injured going into this because there could be trades going on or whatever. Yeah. So they're just like, they opted out. And now you're getting like the third string Pro Bowl person that was chosen. Doesn't care if they get hurt because they're trying to make a name for themselves or something. I don't know. And people quit watching it. I guess the Pro Bowl became less exciting. So so yesterday the NBA did their version of the Pro Bowl, except they do it mid-season, which is a weird thing for me. Like you stop mid-season during the Olympics to say, we want the best of the best to come out, but we're going to do it different. We're going to do, it used to be East versus West, what I remember, right? I mean, those were the divisions, East versus
the two
West.
Conferences, right? Yeah.
Two conferences. Now they have
US versus Europe. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But then they also have the next quarter, the score starts all over and it's stars versus stripes. And then there's a reverse. I mean, they made it different, which made it a little bit more exciting to, you know, play each quarter as a separate thing. And then
that's because they wouldn't play until the fourth quarter. The reason they did that is because for the NBA All-Star game, they would just lollygag and they would goof around until the fourth quarter, and then they were sort of locking in the fourth quarter. So then they tried to make every quarter matter. Is essentially what they tried to do. They tried to make the people, the folks that are selected play hard. That's really what
they said. This is the best watched pro series that they did. The one that they've seen. This has been the best watched one was this year. Yeah, in a while.
Okay. Yeah. And now, when you talk about it, are you talking about the most watched NBA All-Star game, or are you talking about the most watched pro something from all?
No, NBA All-Star game. Yeah, I guess it got pretty blah. And do we have really stars that play in the NBA right now? You know, people that play more than half the year. You know, so it's just different from the time of Jordan and Bird and Magic and everything else. It's just the different people, the different players out there. I didn't know most of the names, to be honest with you. I don't keep up with basketball like I used to either, but sometimes the names would be bigger than the game. You didn't have to watch basketball to know who Michael Jordan was back in the day. You know what I mean? You didn't have to watch basketball to know who Bird or Magic was back in the day. That you just knew they were the best.
Right.
You heard their names. You knew they were the best. Who do we hear today That I mean, I watched the end of it when they were handing the trophies out, and I no
Yeah,
no
I don't
idea.
know who won, but you got LeBron,
Well, because he's been around for 20
Steph.
plus years.
Yeah, we talk about the new. Well, that's a part of going
In the last
growing
5
old.
years, whose names do we know? In the last 5 years,
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
I don't know.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton.
No, don't know.
I'm trying to think of going across the teams.
Someone that has a shoe, someone that has a name that's beyond the game. Who's beyond the game?
The problem having your own shoe is now part of somebody else's shoe line. Like a bunch of people have their own shoes that are part of the Jordan line and a part of Nike and so forth. But it's not quite the same because so many people have them. Right. You know what I'm saying? That it's not the same as when you were rare and had it. Yeah.
That's my point. Who is there? Who's the name out there? There's no name. There's no name that I'm aware of.
I've been watching
telling me. Yeah.
But with Luka, I don't know if Luka played. I think Luka's hurt, but
no, Luka did play. Luka was there.
Luka played.
Yeah. I believe he did. Play.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't play defense, but he.
But I think why is Luka well known? Because of the big trade. That was the dumbest thing that the Mavericks did.
That's probably why you knew him. He was known. He was definitely known
beyond the Mavs.
He's really good. Yeah, he's really good. He's one of those guys. He's like an old dude who like barely moves. But you just can't stop him. Like he has that sort of game, that European game where it's all about sort of slightness and deception. It's not about overpowering you or anything like that. And it's just nothing you can do about it. It just makes you look stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so you're like, I'm gonna get him, and then you just know you're not.
But not as stupid as what Bird would make you do. Like Bird would tell you, I'm going to get the ball from you. I'm going to go here. I'm going to shoot it from here over you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That might be true.
It's just a different world right now. It's just a different style, and I don't think anyone is bigger than the game right now in the NBA.
No, but that also is partially because those who were bigger than the game came around before the game was as big as it is now, right? So the game itself, the sport of basketball, is too big for somebody to be bigger than it. When before it wasn't. So when you had big names come through, they're the ones that, because they were bigger than the game, they then collectively made the game bigger and put it in a position where now somebody can't be bigger than the game, right? So that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody who is just as dominant as some of them were, but because the game has gotten so big, they now don't sort of eclipse the game. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron, I think by the time it's all said and done, legitimately, I think it'd be hard to argue against him being considered the greatest of all time. Right? Now, I'm not suggesting that you can't have the argument, because people have the argument. But if you're using numbers, it's gonna be hard that he's not. And by the way, if you use single numbers, it'd be easy to eliminate him. But if you use all the numbers, right, then he's going to be in every conversation in a way that everybody else won't be in every conversation. Michael Jordan couldn't be in every number conversation. You know what I'm saying? Wilt Chamberlain couldn't be in every number conversation. Bill Russell couldn't be in every number conversation, right? Bill Russell could be in a championship conversation. Wilt Chamberlain could be in a scoring conversation. Michael Jordan could be in a championship and scoring and dominance conversation. Shaq could be, but LeBron could be in every single conversation. And I think that's part of what makes him there. So I'm saying that we have somebody like that, but the game has gotten so big that he's not even bigger than the game. Kobe was never bigger than the game.
No.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So I think the game got bigger, right? So I think it's harder for anybody to eclipse him. But I think that is a testament to what those folks did. The Birds and the Jordans and the Magic Johnsons, they're the ones that made the game get that big that now no single person is going to be bigger than it.
Interesting. That's a fair perspective. That's a fair perspective, but it's also why the numbers aren't as big as they used to be either. So
what do you mean?
I don't think people are watching basketball. Yeah, I don't think people are watching it as much either. So unfortunately, like you're watching the All-Star game yesterday, and at the end of it, when they're handing out the MVP and they're handing out the half the stadium's empty. Like the thrill's gone. No one, and if it's the Pro Bowl, they played on an indoor, like probably easily a quarter of what they would normally have inside of a stadium. Right. So those things just the excitement of saying you were there versus.
Let me ask you this though: do you think that may be influenced by the fact that by the way that we consume television and media, that they're everywhere. So before, when you would go to an all-star game, that might be your one chance to see all of those jokers. Now you see them all the time, he's everywhere all the time on TV, right? You know what I'm saying? So you can constantly see him. So now it's not quite this privilege to go and see him on, in the stadium from the 400 level seats, and they look like little figurines on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like where you could see him all day, every day on TV, right? So because before, there was no NBA League Pass. There was no NFL Sunday Ticket. There was those things where you could just watch everybody all the time. So if you had a local team, right, your local team may have been on your local channel, but then it was like, you probably could see Michael Jordan 3 or 4 times a year, maybe on the national television schedule, right? And so when he came to your thing or you went to an all-star game, that was going to be your time to see those folks because you just didn't get to see them. Now you can see all of them all the time, right? So I think you just get sort of, it's just a little less novel, right, to be able to do those things.
Well, I mean, the other issue, of course, is Michael Jordan and Bird and Magic and all that. They played all the games.
Yeah,
they played. You could watch them, and they're playing all the games. Now, if you go to a game, that starter may play 25% of the time and still making millions more than the people that actually.
They're not playing. No starter is playing 25% of the time, and they're healthy.
Dude, man, they're sitting on the bench so much. They're
but not 25% of the time.
It may be an exaggeration, but I'm saying you're not seeing them play as much as you saw the key players because they put in their contracts. They don't have to play all the games. I get paid more to do less, and I'm not as prevalent. So when I go to the All-Star game, now I'm seeing the big players actually play because maybe they sat when they came and visited.
No, you're seeing a lot of players not
team,
play in the All-Star games. They're opting out a lot of times. You know what I'm saying?
That is true too, because they don't want to be hurt for the regular season. Yeah,
they don't.
Same thing that happened with football, with them opting out of the Pro Bowl, which it used to be an honor. Like it used to be huge to say they're playing in the Pro Bowl,
right?
And now it's like they were nominated, they were picked for the Pro Bowl, but they're going to sit, and the next person up is going to take their spot. But they were Pro Bowl selected. They were Pro Bowl selected. Yeah. So and now the Pro Bowl is playing freaking flag football, wearing hats out on the field and t-shirts.
So for clarity, because I did not watch the Pro Bowl, are you suggesting that the professional football, and I'm asking because I don't know, that the professional football players that were elected to play in the Pro Bowl and opted to play in the Pro Bowl did not play a tackle football game, they played a flag football game?
Correct. For the last 2 years, they opted to.
There has not been a tackle Pro Bowl in the last 2 years.
At least, yeah.
Dang, I did not know that.
Yeah. So because they don't want to get hurt, so now they're playing, but they're playing with like hats on and they're playing with t-shirts on, and it's just trying to get the flag off. So there's less chance of injury for sure. I mean, they definitely play intense, but there's no like 4-man rush on the quarterback, and there's risk of injury. No, like that quarterback has all time to throw because maybe one person would charge after 5 Mississippi.
Right.
So everyone else is like,
so this is legitimately the way we play when we play in the field. It's just awesome. Okay, all right.
Yeah. They're playing like we're playing out in our backyard, so we're down at the park or something now, but they're not risking injury anymore to play. So maybe they're getting more superstars to show up to the Pro Bowl, which is nice, but they're not really playing football anymore. And then they're playing dodgeball. They're not doing the skills thing. They're dodgeball. Are you kidding me? This is like you're getting a group of.
Clearly, I haven't watched it, but I would watch dodgeball. Pro athletes, I would watch that.
Yeah, but no, these guys aren't as nimble as you think they are. But again, it's not the skill set. It's not the skill set that was cool. Like they used to go through like blocking tackle, like go through this little maze of whatever. Go through this obstacle course.
Right.
Or throw the ball the farthest, or get it through this tire this big that's swinging. So you show your skills off. Now it's a play day basically for big guys, and they get paid to show up to have a play day. So but the Pro Bowl used to be like in cool place like the Hawaii. Like you would go and you'd be in Hawaii and you get Hawaii football. Yeah, but it's not the same. It's just different.
It's a different Hawaii, like a different state of Hawaii. What do you mean it's not
different
the same?
I got you. So in work, we started our quarterly reviews where we send out the survey to the employees and we ask the
Okay.
employees, how's the company doing? And specifically, how is your direct manager doing? And then we're graded off of those scores, even though they don't tell the employees this. I have an idea that they might get an idea of
They
it.
have to know because somebody said it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think the employees get the questions to understand the impact on their boss. Like if we want to get our boss fired, we could definitely get our boss fired within the year if we all score this way. You know, but what they'll do a lot of the times is you'll have your one-on-ones with them. And for my company, I have to meet with my one-on-one twice a month, minimum twice a month.
Okay.
And they could say everything's good. Everything's fine. You're doing fantastic, Bish. Hey, I appreciate you listening, man. Like it's great the way, you know, you ask questions and you get us all involved. And then you get the survey and they're like pissed at you about everything. And you're like, wait a second. I thought everything was good. And they're like, I don't know who did that. I don't know how you got that score as you know, the team score, because I said you were fine. I'm good with what you do. And it's like, okay, then either you're not understanding the questions or you're really not happy, but you don't know how to share that information because you're worried one-on-one that there's consequences to you telling me you're not happy right now.
Right.
And I try to tell my people, I know you have a side chat where you talk to all your people and you guys, this is where you complain or you ask questions and you try to understand things. But also when things aren't going well, I know you're like, what is this? This is a ridiculous thing, you know? And I said, I don't know if that solves anything for you. Like it gets you to complain and it gets you to vent, but does it solve your problems? Versus
Does what solve your problem? Having a side chat?
Complaining to your peers, having side chats versus if you came to me, your manager, and said, I'm not thrilled with what you're implementing or how this is going. Well, now I can look at that, process it, and look to make a change and to help you out.
Right.
But you venting to people that have no power over your frustration, you're just trying to create a system or a situation where you're trying to get other people on board with you to be unhappy with you as well. And that doesn't solve anything.
Well, I think that is a little, I think there could be another reason or motivation other than trying to get people on your side to be unhappy with you as well, these side chats, right? Because I would suggest that everybody proactively decided they wanted a side chat. They all then decided they had the same motivation, and then they all took action at the same time, as opposed to somebody initiating it and then other people opting in, right? So you're suggesting that there was this crazy motivation, right? Because once somebody says, hey, we're doing this chat, or they just added you to the chat and started talking, right? You're suggesting that there's some sort of motivation to create it. But what I was saying,
no, it was originally created for a good reason. It was created so, hey, we all do the same job, so we can help each other out to get through this. Like, hey, I'm not sure what to do on this particular case. What do you guys suggest? And then they help each other out. So it started with good intent.
Okay, all right. Sounded like you said it started with ill intent. So my apologies.
No. It starts with good intent.
Right.
It turns into something else because while you're saying, "Hey, I need help with this," or "This is why we created it," is to get each other's feedback and direction. It also turns into, "Can you believe what the boss is saying right now? Oh, I can't believe we have to do this thing. Oh, this is just ridiculous. Oh, this frustrates me. I think this is the dumbest thing we've ever had to say. Why is he talking right now? What is this?" So that's what it turns into. Inevitably, every time there's been a team chat that started for the right reason, there is this side thing that also occurs.
So where in your mind, in your ideal circumstance, is there a place where people can vent their frustrations without talking to the boss about it? Is there a reasonable space for that to exist?
So I honestly, and this is just me as a leader, no. I think on company time, I think if you're at happy hour, complain all you want. I think when you're on company time, it's non-productive. It doesn't help the situation or the narrative, and it feeds into whatever negativity that you might be feeling at the time. So it is a line to make misery love company. and to try to get other people on board with what you're frustrated about. And that's concerning. That's frustrating.
If it was rampant in the way you're suggesting sort of a monolithic motivation. I don't know if I use monolithic the right way, but single motivation. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and my guess is that there may be some people who that's primarily what they use that group chat for. But my guess is that many of the people get multiple things from that forum, aside from the purposely trying to say negative things with the intent of trying to get other people mad with them.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what you're suggesting is sort of the primary purpose now, even though that may not have been the original purpose. My guess is if you had the ability and there was some AI way of looking at everything that was put in that group chat, my guess is that it's going to be something way south of 50% of the number of things that are put in there that are sort of have that purpose. Right. So, but what I would say is I would disagree with you. I do think that we need places to be able to vent our frustrations, right? We need places to be able to process this stuff, because if it just sits inside of us, most of us are not good enough to sort of have it not let it out and to be productive people in that space, whatever that space is. If it's a relationship, whatever the case is, we have to have the ability for that stuff to get out. And it's not always helpful to get it out with the person who maybe is the reason for it. Right? Because now you're in the problem solving mode. And sometimes you need to release the emotions and the frustration associated with it before you can get into a productive problem solving mode. Right? Because if you're trying to manage your emotions and solve problems all with the same person who created those emotions and is the source of those problems, at least in your mind, right? That is really hard for people to do. And so I do think that it is beneficial for people to be able to sort of vent, right? To experience those emotions, to be able to sort of commiserate with other people when that's the case, when they need to. But also sometimes, it allows them to sort of to problem solve in those spaces before they bring it to you to solve their problems for them, right? And so I do think there's a place for it. The tracking wheel went back on. See, that tells you something's up. But there's a place for it. And I think that we have to. I think that the real thing is what I would encourage you to consider wanting is them to be able to vent and to have that space, but then also to create space for and the ability for them to have conversations with you, so that you can then, one, be aware, but two, help them solve those problems, help address those problems, because you're in a position of power and authority where you can fix some of those things, you can address some of those things, you can explain some of those things. And I think they should also be able to come to you and have those conversations. I don't think it's one or the other. And so I think both two things can be true. I think they can have a space, and yes, it can be used in a way that maybe isn't ideal from a leader perspective, but that it's still beneficial for them, and that we still need them to be able to come to us so that we can help them figure out what's going on and solve the problem, help them problem solve.
Yeah. So you're thinking like a leader that if you were involved in one of these group chats and it was originally set up to help you better understand your job and to get clarification on some things, that if people started complaining that your boss was doing this or that, you would be the type of person to listen respectfully and say, well, maybe the company or the boss is trying to say this, and this is what he's trying to accomplish from this, and try to be reasonable with it, because that's who you are. And that's what you hope that other people do as well, is they take in people's sides and they listen, but then they give constructive feedback so they can see things in a bigger, broader picture.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah. I think that's exactly that's not what happens in these particular cases, because if you come out like Bish and you try to give a different spin and a different perspective, now you're not part of the team. You're not bought into their complaints and them being upset. So now there's another side chat that's set up without Bish in it now, because Bish is going to only give the positive company side of things and get different perspective. I want people that want to complain with me. I want people that are upset with me, that then I have a one-on-one with Nancy, And Nancy says, you know what? I'm not the only one that's upset by this. Like most of the team is upset by this as well. And I know that because we've talked about it. Okay. So, or not only is the rest of the team upset by it, but Bish is also upset. And you know how Bish is. Bish is always like the positive guy who's always bought into everything.
Mm.
But Bish even said something because Bish wanted to be accepted in the group. And he wanted to be, you know, not left out. So he was like, yeah, man, I can't believe, you know, like some of these changes are happening or whatever. Like, it seems like a lot. And that's all you say because you want to be accepted. Peer pressure is a real thing. I don't care how old you are or what business you're in. You don't want to be the outsider of your group of friends or your group of coworkers because they're not really friends. They're work friends that if you left the company, you might talk to them for maybe 2 to 3 weeks after you leave and you'll never hear from them again. But the peer pressure of wanting them to be on your side is so strong that you might say something that you don't necessarily agree with because you know that if you don't, you're out of the circle of trust. You're kicked out of the other conversations or the other chat that they're going to set up without you. And that's not what you want. You want to feel a part of the team. You don't want to feel like the outsider on it just because you have a different perspective. Because misery really does love company.
So first of
that's
all,
what these chats do.
First of all, I'm not sure what transition happened here in this conversation. But I do not like you looking into the camera like you talking to my soul, man. It was too focused for me. You know what the hell? You're like, I'm telling you, you don't understand.
You know what? Because I'm looking at myself and it looks like my eyes are shut every time I'm looking down. So I'm like, I want to make the point.
You were definitely
looking at the camera. I was like, well,
you're way too intense right now. What the hell happened?
Like, you know I'm talking to your soul, bitch.
You know exactly what I'm saying. You know that, and you would say something, and you would be like, you know, it was like anyway. But
so that's the reality. That's what I have to deal with. It is tough because I'll talk to people on my team that say I feel like I'm on the outside, and I said I understand where you're coming from. It's not easy being the voice of truth to power, and by what I mean by that is you're challenging the people who are the loudest on the team, who just want to complain and be louder. So now you're the quiet voice against the one that's trying to have the power. And that's actually the one that's leading the negativity on the group. Because there's usually one person that will get the other 3 to 5 to jump in and yeah, that's frustrating to me. Yeah, that pisses me off too. And yet they're solving nothing. They're solving nothing. They're just all pissed off, but they're solving nothing. But if you come to me and say, hey, I don't know about this policy. Is there a reason why? Or maybe I didn't explain it well enough and I don't understand the impact on you, then come to me, talk to me about it, and we can look at it. But instead, it's easier to go negative than it is to go to problem solving, unfortunately. And that's what I think these are a forum for.
It is. And the thing I will say is, one, it is the very rare person who will say without being prompted, without doing it as a result of pushback, to say that I think this way, this negative, I have this opinion. I'm part of this group. I have this opinion that's a negative opinion and nobody agrees with me. I'm the only one who has this opinion, especially when I talk to the person who they probably want to convince. They always say, everybody thinks this way. Nobody does. Everybody does, right? And so what I say is I always take that with a grain of salt, simply because I know that they want to feel like they want to feel like they have this, that they're not alone in that position. And by the way, they may not be, right? But they don't want to feel like that. So they're motivated to try to make sure that other people are with them, right? So they're going to take partial agreements. They're going to take silence as assent. They're going to do all these things to try to make it seem like they have this coalition behind them, when maybe they do, maybe they don't, right? So often when I have those comments, somebody says, you know, you had an example where they said so-and-so said it, right? But I will often go, well, how many of the 8 people that are in the group chat, how many have said that this is exactly how they feel? And is it exactly how they feel, or they feel a version of it, right? Because part of it is I'm trying not to let them get away with trying to paint everyone with the same brush, but two, I actually want some insight into it, right? Because even if they're the only one that has that opinion, or even if it's a group of 20 people and it's only 2 of them, that's still information that's helpful for me as their leader, right? To understand how many people think this way and what do they think, even if they're a minority, right? Because even if they're a minority, their opinion still matters to me. Even if they're the only person, their opinion still matters to me, right? That doesn't mean I make team-wide changes because of their singular opinion, but I want to understand it so that I can do what I can about it, right? Because, you know, part of my job as a supervisor, as a manager, as a leader, is to manage both perception and reality, right? And so the reality is whatever it is, but I also know the perception is how they look at it. What is their experience? How are they processing this information? And part of my job is to influence that perception that they have. Can't control it, but I have the ability to influence it, right? And so I'll give you an example. This week was particularly difficult because we had to do our annual evaluations, our annual reviews. And normally annual review time is not all that difficult because people generally know how they're performing. And, you know, in the federal government, we grade it on a curve, right? That's just the reality of it, right? And so, I mean, coming from the private sector, I recognize that, right? I had to adjust how I evaluated people because how I came in evaluating people was much harsher than was the tendency. And while I'm comfortable with that, the negative is there's money associated with these things. And so if I'm evaluating people one way, but all their peers that are not on the same team are getting evaluated a different way, it creates this inequity, right? That's there that says that they may even work harder and do better, but they're getting evaluated worse than their peers, and that could affect how you get promoted. That can affect other opportunities. It can affect all sorts of things in addition to the money. So I recognize that, okay, I'm going to create high standards and have these conversations about performance. But when it comes to the end of the year stuff, I'm going to grade on the curve because that's sort of in the record. And if we're in Rome, do what the Romans do, right? Even though I said high standards and my team performed well compared to other teams. But this year, the new administration came in, and one of the things they talked about over the past year was that they recognized that we sort of grade on a curve, and they wanted to change that, right? They wanted to. Now they had more extreme language they put out there, but they said, hey, everybody can't be 5, right? 5 is the highest you can get. Everybody can't be 5, right? So they talked about what that is and so forth. And so one of the challenges that we were in is that because of when we do our performance, most of the federal government is on the fiscal year calendar. My agency was on the calendar year calendar, and so when they went and implemented the change, and going forward, you have to be a little bit more harsher. Harsher is just a word I'm going to use, but more accurate, harsher, whatever you want to say, in how you evaluate people. Well, we got caught up in the transition, so that people have been performing on performance plans for the calendar year, and then when they made that transition, in the last 3 months of 2025, which was the beginning of fiscal year 26, but the end of our calendar year performance cycle, what ended up happening is they went, well, for your performance going forward, because they were talking to all of the federal agencies that were on the fiscal year going forward, you need to use this new system that we're talking about how you measure people. Well, we got caught up because we are now doing our annual performance evaluations under the new thing, but everybody was performing for at least 9 of the months under the old system. And the initial communication that came out was that you don't have to change until fiscal year or 2026. So we communicated to our people, hey, at the end of this year, we're gonna do it the normal way, but starting next year, going to be a new day. Well, it came out that actually we're going to grade you. We're going to move the goalposts and now grade you differently, starting with the 2025 performance, which you can't change now. But at the end of the year, we're now going, but we're grading you differently than what we said the entire year. And so it's a tough situation to be in, right? I acknowledge it is unfair to change the goalposts at the end. I understand where they're going. And as somebody who came from the private sector, I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that as an entire government, we should be a little bit more, sorry, just something weird there. As an entire government, we should be a little bit more, there we go, a little bit more
consistent?
Consistent, but we were consistently lenient. So I think we need to be a little bit, if you're
firmer.
going, so if the measurements are achieved expectations, exceed expectations, and achieve excellence, right? If those are the 3 bars, then exceeding expectations and achieving excellence should actually be excellence and exceeding. It shouldn't be, well, you did your job well, so that's a 5, right? If you do your job well, that's a 3, because that's what you're supposed to do, is your job well, right? So I don't necessarily disagree with that conceptually, but I do disagree with vehemently the idea of moving the goalposts at the end. At the end of the thing going, yeah, we're going to change how we keep score for this game that was just played. Like, the game's over and we're now changing how the scoring system. I'm like, that's not okay, right? So I'm not okay with that, but that's what had to happen. And so there were lots of people who received ratings and evaluations that were very different than what they expected to receive. And I had to give them out, and they were very different than what I would have given them had I not been required to change them. Now, again, for 2026, I created new ways of setting goals. I'm very much more to achieve excellence and to exceed expectations. They're very smart goals. They're very detailed, and you're going to have to actually achieve excellence if you're going to get there, right? I'm completely leaning into that. But having to give these out this year, in the last week or so, was really tough. And it was with people who I highly value, who I think they did a really good job. And because all the way up until sort of the review period, they had been grading on a curve. And so they expected that curve, right? And so to not get that curve was sort of like a gut punch for a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? And it felt bad. And I felt terrible giving it to them. And the thing is, while I could justify the way I have now, the need to change it going forward, it was very hard for me to justify why we could change the scoring system at the end of the year after you've already done what you're supposed to do. It's just hard to justify that. And so I had to have a lot of conversations with people about, how you performed. So it's the expectation versus reality. So it's a long story, but expectations versus reality. The reality is this is where we're at. We have to score it this way. This is the new scoring system. We got caught up in the transition, and but the perception is this is how I value what you've done. Right. And this is what your work has meant to me and has meant to the agency and the organization that we're a part of. And so I had to have really sort of honest conversations with people about the quality of the work that they did and letting them know just how valued they were, because they were feeling undervalued because the scores they were getting would be the scores that would have been given to somebody who really was underperforming. Right. And I had to let them know that I'm not suggesting that you're underperforming. I'm suggesting that in the current scoring system that we're required to use, this is the score that you have. And this is how I came to it. But I do value you. I do think you do good. And because we're going to be using this new scoring system for the entirety of 2026, here's what you're going to have to do in 2026 to earn those higher scores, because it's going to be harder, because we can't set goals that are easy for everybody to achieve excellence, right? Not expectations, but excellence. Because then it's not really excellence. Everybody can't be excellent. That's just not how it is, right? You might get lucky and have a team that has a lot of excellent people, but if everybody's getting it, that means the goals are too low, right? And so part of what we have to do is be better at setting goals. I was in a class, my team was teaching a class, and some of the participants in the class, they were supervisors. They were talking about how their people were, how they were trying to get underperformers to perform higher. Right. And I said to him, I was like, if you have people that are exceeding expectations, great. But if you have people that are underperforming and you need them to perform higher in order for your organization, for your department, your branch, whatever, to meet its goals, then that means you set the expectations too low. Because the goals you set, if everybody just did exactly what you asked them to do, which was achieve expectations, your branch should be successful. Your organization, your team should be successful. If your team can't be successful by everybody just barely achieving those goals, then you didn't set goals right. You have to set goals that if they did it, you're okay with it. You can't set goals that are so low that if they actually do the goals you set, you're like, that's not good enough. Well, then you didn't set the goals right, And so I think we, as leaders, don't always do a great job at setting goals at the right levels that they should be at. And so part of what we have to do, I know that took us on a tangent, but part of what I think we have to do is we have to be more honest with ourselves, be honest with our teams, and have those conversations where we're talking about their perception, right? Because people's perceptions a lot of time is, if I work hard and I do a good job, then I should get the highest rating possible. And that's just not the way that it should work. Right? You need to be a superstar to get the highest rating possible. Not I did my job well. You're supposed to do your job well. That is the basic expectations, is you do your job well. If you want to do more than that, then we could talk about what that looks like in terms of going up to the next levels.
Actually,
so expectations conversations are different. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We've changed it here. In fact, in corporate America, where I'm at, if you do your job, you used to be in that 3, right? Because it's 1 through 5, like you were saying. We do the same thing. And if you just did your job, nothing extra, what exactly is on the job description, you got a 3, which meant you always got a 3% increase. You were always rated as a strong. You were able to get promoted and move on to other things. Now I've come back to corporate America where doing your job could get you a below strong because you did the absolute minimum that you had to do.
Wait, before you
your
continue,
job.
tell me the levels. Just explain the levels to me so that
So
I'm tracking.
we have not rated, which means you could have been gone for a period of time, maybe 5 to 6 months out of the year. So you can't be rated because you weren't there long enough for FMLA or leave or whatever. You have below strong,
But below
strong,
okay.
also known as inconsistent.
Okay.
Inconsistent.
So the
Meaning
expectation is that you're strong. That's the base expectation, is that you're strong.
strong.
Okay.
Then you have above strong, and then you have exceeds. Okay.
Okay. All right. So expectations are strong. So would we be fair to say that expectations are strong or about equivalent? You're expected to be strong.
You're expected to be strong. But now strong does not just mean doing your job, because there are people who say my job's 8 to 5. I come in, I do my job, I'm out. I don't need to be on camera. I don't need to participate. I don't need to do anything extra. If I get my job done, I'm good. And the company is now saying, no, you're not. Now you've got to do better than what we expect you to do. You gotta not just do the job that we hired you to do, but you gotta do above. You gotta be that team player who's willing to take on extra work. Perhaps you gotta be in stretch assignments. You gotta be able to go over to other departments and help them out and be a problem solver, come up with new ideas. You gotta be fully vested in the company. Otherwise, why? And now that's a tougher conversation, because I could be telling you, you did everything I needed you to do. You completed your task, you did your job, but you're not strong, because that's the minimum. The minimum is there. So yeah, you just didn't. And that's a harder conversation to have. Not only that, now you cannot get promoted on strong. You have to be above strong to be promoted. So you can get moved laterally as strong, which is doing your job in a very high level now, not just at a level, a high level to be strong. But now you got to be above strong, meaning I came up with ideas. I came up with solutions. There is light between me and someone else that might be in another department, even at my level, because we weigh it on, how do people across the company perform at your level? Whether you're in servicing, whether you're in funding, whether you're in navigator or whatever it might be, so far as a internet based or vendor relation, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You all have the same title. So what did you do differently? And you may not have the same opportunities that other people have, or you may not have opportunities given to you because your boss sees you barely performing your job well. So now your opportunities to grow and get to the next level have to be above strong, meaning you're doing more than your job consistently. And doing your job does not make you as strong anymore. And that's a harder conversation to have with people. And my job as a leader now is to try to put them in a position where they're always performing at the high level. And that's a challenge.
So I agree with you, but I have a question for you.
Yep.
And my question for you is, so I'm hearing you explain it, and I'm hearing a difference between how the historical definition of strong versus the current definition. And it seems like what you all are doing is saying, well, strong is still strong because we're sticking with historical, but now you have to be more than strong. And my question is, it sounds like what you're doing is redefining strong. So
Yes.
why are we having it? Why are we saying you have to do more than strong? Why are we not saying we're actually changing what strong is?
Yeah.
I'm curious about, honestly, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
We're actually changing because
Yep.
you mentioned stuff. You're like, you have to come up with new ideas and you have to be on camera and you have to do. Why isn't that the definition, the new definition of strong?
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, well, you got to do more than strong, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, I think that's an easier conversation to have. Is we're redefining what our expectations are, and our
Well,
expectations.
that's my job, right? That's my job, is to put that out there for the team. Once I find that out,
Well,
and
but
other
if
managers won't do that. Because it's a tough conversation, right?
Right.
It's not an easy conversation to have with anybody, much less someone who's been around for 12 years,
right.
10 years, and now I'm the new guy telling you what you've been doing has not been good enough to get you where you want to go. And I have to redefine it for you. So I come off as the bad guy representative of the company.
And
so
and
now
why-
I get a quarterly grade.
right.
Am I doing what I need to get you where you need to be for understanding the expectations? Am I getting you the tools that you need? Am I coaching you enough? And I have maybe 12 of y'all that I have to deal with on a bi-weekly basis to try to see something different from each of you. And you know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. So the challenge is very real on the leadership side of things, for sure.
Why, if the other managers aren't doing it, then is it really a real expectation of the company that you make those changes? Because if you're the only one, I'm only one's a strong word, but if you're one of the few people that are actually doing, is it really expectation? And does it make sense to see what the company water level is?
Yeah.
And go with the company water level rather than put yourself in this weird position, because I know your particular position is with your particular company, I should say, it's very heavily weighted on these employee evaluations of you as a supervisor. And so if you are hurting yourself by being a trailblazer, company said do it, I'm the good leadership soldier, I'm gonna go do it, but now it's hurting you and it's not hurting anybody else because it's like, yeah, whatever, dude, we're not changing it, we're not having these conversations, we're not changing it. Why put yourself in the crosshairs like that?
Yeah, so that's the real challenge, actually. So what the company is doing is now micromanaging managers and say, I want to see what all your meetings look like with your people. So you need to send it to them. You need to create a spreadsheet. I want to be attached. I want to be attached to the spreadsheet of your one-on-ones with each of your people to be sure that you're getting them the information that they need to be successful. So all the managers now have to report onto a spreadsheet that now your manager and their manager above them get to review it anytime they want to see if you are doing what you need to be doing to make your team as successful as possible. So the micromanagement now starts to be sure that the managers that weren't doing it are doing it.
Right.
And the managers that were doing it are still doing what they need to do. So it's a whole nother level of micromanaging to try to push the needle to be sure that everyone's communicating properly to their people.
So then are you confident? So I got what you're saying. And are you confident then that that the other managers, they may be lagging, but in the next cycle, they're going to be in the same position you are, which is their people are going to be fussing with them because they're now holding their people accountable in the way that you are holding your people accountable, because when the organization said to start doing it, you started doing it.
Yeah. So the difference between a strong manager and a weak manager, I always say, is what do you own and what do you put off? Meaning, I talk to my team and I say, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're putting it forward. Here's the plan. And I'll talk to you one-on-one about how this affects each of you individually.
Right.
Versus the weak manager that says, hey guys, I don't want to do this. This is a Bish thing. He's our boss. We got to do whatever he says. But really, I'm going to do what we always do. we're going to make it look okay for Bish, but don't let it
Oh,
worry.
Jesus
Don't let you
Christ. Oh, my
worry.
goodness.
Don't let you worry about, how it's going to, because I don't agree with this either. And that's what those managers do. Those weak managers find another weak way out by blaming you as the bad guy and then not doing everything, but making it look like they're doing what they need to do in some form or fashion.
Okay. So, all right. So I'm rewatching Game of Thrones.
I've never seen it in my life.
You got to
And my
rewatch
wife tells me I have to watch it.
You
for a
got to
number
watch
of
it. You
reasons.
got to watch it, man. You got to watch it. With all due respect, forget the job. Watch Game of Thrones. But anyway, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones. I'm on season 3. But in the first season, there is this relatively noble person who is the Hand of the King. I won't say too much, but his name is Ned Stark, and he's a pretty noble person. He tries to do the right thing. And sometimes you try to do the right thing, things turn out great for you. And sometimes when you try to do the right thing, things don't turn out great for you.
Not so much.
And so you sounds like you're in a position where you're trying to do the right thing, but you're also potentially, it's probably not, if not probably, but it has a potential to not turn out great because of all the mechanisms that your particular organization has in place about employee evaluation, things like that. What's your plan for managing that, right? Because being noble and being not their manager anymore and not employed anymore, not helpful for anybody long term, right? So what's the plan for managing the expectations of the company, managing the expectations of your subordinates who report to you, and managing your own expectations of yourself as a leader? How are you going to balance all of that in your current situation?
That's a very real challenge that I'm facing. My thing is, first of all, is to humble myself, and go to them and say what used to be isn't going to be the same as it used to be, and try to make that okay for them. And meaning I have to put it in a way that makes sense to them so that they feel like they're not about to lose their job. And that situation is definitely at risk, but we're going to put together a plan so that you don't have to worry about that. So I try to be that team player that says, here's where we're going, here's the direction. And right now you're not there, unfortunately, but I'm going to work on trying to get you there. And if you don't want to get there, then I'm going to try to work on a position where I can help you find that lateral move that you want to make, because this might not be the right position for you right now. This may not be the right team. This challenge is on this team, even though if you went somewhere else, might be more manageable, here might be more challenging for you. Okay. So just having those real, because now I have to sit down and say, man, you just haven't been making your numbers. And I know we haven't had these numbers been used against you before, but there is more accountability now. And here's what it's going to look like if we don't get these numbers improved, whatever those are.
Okay.
And that's the challenge, because now I'm trying to show that I am that team player and I'm trying to set them up for success. Doesn't mean I'm still not going to get hit when it comes to the survey that comes out every quarter, because that day that survey comes out or that week, they could be really pissed about me having a conversation that you're not meeting expectations.
Yeah.
So now you're going to blame me instead of looking at yourself, because you've been around for 10 to 12 years. You think you've done well to stick around.
Right.
And now
they've probably gone through many managers, by the way. Managers come and go for them,
all the time. All the time. I hear that all the time. So now I'm magically holding them to something different. So and like I said several times before, all politics are local. Doesn't matter what happens over there until it affects me over here.
Right.
And now it's affecting you, because that's the manager I am. Until my name's on the building and I get to do things the way I want to do them, I've got to follow the golden goose, and he who has the gold makes the rules. So I just have to get the team to get on board, buy in, and know that I'm trying to make them as successful as possible. And I have to get that buy-in from them. And I've only been there for just over 3 months now. So imagine this strange face coming in, trying to hold them accountable. They're like, well, now you're by the rules and you're by the book and you're straight very direct. And I never had this before, because every time before, for the last 10 years, it's been very loosey-goosey. I know how to play with the rules. I know how to get through the year. I know how to get through mid-year and survive. And you're taking away all my survival skills and saying these aren't okay anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go from caveman to home dweller. It doesn't work for me. And that's basically where we're at in corporate America. And what's worse is you give the managers these marching orders, but you don't support the managers at a higher level when we're moving forward with what you've directed us to do.
Right.
Because it sounds really harsh when it gets to a complaint to HR about what we do sometimes,
Right.
even though we're following company direction. So the challenge is real, is what I'm trying to say. And you can't be a weak leader. You can't. I think this is more and more a position where companies don't respect managers as it is. They think we're all replaceable, and that the people that run the company are really the first line workers, which is definitely true. But you're also wanting accountability for the first line workers to well represent the company. And if you try to make your managers impotent by taking away their powers of authority to make the changes that you're asking for.
Okay. And by the way, if you're
in a position of you take away our power, basically. Yeah.
I just want to say, if you are having impotence issues, I don't think you can blame it on your work. I just want to put that out there. Just be honest with yourself. Okay. By the way, when you have that heart-to-heart conversation that you have with them, are you going to stroke your beard like a villain, the way you did that entire conversation when you got serious?
I have to.
Like, I just want to. But I have to tell them.
I have to.
We have to do this, and we need
this
to.
This comes with the authority. This comes. With
that's the way. That's the way you do it. I think
wisdom whiskers for a reason. Okay, like, you listen to these, and you will be successful.
All right. So if you're doing it virtually, you're going to be staring into the camera, and you're going to be doing this with your thing, and then they're all going to give you a terrible rating. Like, this dude is creeping me the fuck out. And but it's cool.
Am I or am I?
The funny part was, as soon as you got into that real conversation, it was probably like an unconscious impulse, but you definitely, like, when you were very strokey with your beard, man.
Yeah.
I was like, that must be a thing he does when he's trying to be serious.
You know what's interesting is I feel, and this is interesting. I don't know if you watched Sunday Morning this last week or not, but Stephen A. Smith was on there. And Stephen A. Smith is pretty controversial. One, for not being a Cowboys fan, but just everything that he says sometimes is just on the.
I think he's controversial for the sake of being controversial.
He needs to, right? Because you got to draw in eyeballs, and you don't know what he's going to say next, whether you love or hate him. He tries to do the right thing. He tries to say the right thing. He tries to stay consistent with it, but he still comes off as yelling. He doesn't come off as yelling. He's actually yelling. Like, I'm just going to say that I don't care what you going to do. You let I was like, oh, bro, chill out. So I don't yell, and I smile a lot, and he smiles a lot. But people say that he comes off too strong. And I was recently given feedback that I still come off as intimidating, even though it's nothing that I try to intimidate you. It comes with title, one. And I think title always makes someone intimidating. Like, my boss is 10 years younger than me. His boss is 12 years younger than me, 14 or something. And it doesn't matter, because they're your boss. It doesn't matter what they say. When they say something, it resonates differently in your ear.
Right. Yeah.
So even though I might be smiling and I'm not yelling, but I am direct with the information you're asking me, it comes off as intimidating sometimes. As much as I try not to, I have to recognize it comes with position and title. So now my job is try to deliver information in a way that people are willing to receive it, that doesn't feel intimidating, which is, again, very tough for our generation, where you and I can get feedback from our bosses and say, okay, I don't like it. It hurts a little bit, but I'm going to do what I need to be better and to pivot.
Right.
And whereas now you say it and it hurt my feelings. I didn't like the way that you phrased that. It made it feel like I was not good at my job. You made me feel bad about myself. And we grew up in a time where
What
if
if
you want
you
to
are bad
hug,
at your
go to your
job?
mom. Right. If you want
Yeah,
your job, go back to work. If you want to hug, you go home to your mom and wife. Like
right.
that's not what I'm here for. And now you got to hug them while they tell you they're full of anxiety and depression and stress. And you're like, well, that's your problem. I hired you to do a job. And that's not the world we live in anymore. And again, trying to give real feedback while trying to make people feel good about themselves is a real challenge that companies do not support you in. There's no support. There is, well, try to find a nicer way to say it then. I could
It's like,
be enforcing the company policy that is in
right.
black and white. Here's the rules. Here's what it says. You can't do this, A, B, C. You can't do it on these days, blah, blah, blah. You just regurgitate what you read in company policy. If they have a complaint, there's an investigation. And that investigation should have been shut down with, well, have you read the policy? It seems pretty obvious.
So I'm with you, but I also have seen circumstances where the how you deliver it makes a huge issue. And I think that sometimes I see people excuse their delivery style and the impact of their delivery style because they're speaking truths. And I would say that speaking a truth does not absolve you of needing to deliver it in a way that other humans can take and hear, the way that you just talked about, right? You just talked about, you got to be thinking about how they're going to receive it. Just because you're speaking the truth doesn't mean that I now don't have to be concerned. I don't have to concern myself with how I say it. I think you still have to concern yourself with how you say it. And that doesn't mean, and by the way, I think the company should be, if they're requiring you to do all this stuff, part of what they should be doing is teaching, right?
Sure.
Providing some training on how to do this sort of stuff, especially if they're expecting everybody to do it. Because if you ask people to do something and the average person is going to go, yeah, sure, I can do it, but I know it's going to come back and bite me, right? In these quarterly reviews and how my people see me and the performance of my team, then they're going to make another choice other than to deliver that information if they don't feel like they're equipped to deliver it in a way that won't have those consequences and repercussions. Yeah. So I think the company needs to take that action to do that. But in the absence of that, they're going to have a lot of people who choose not to, or are going to find themselves struggling, and all they're doing is really trying to follow a company policy. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
as leaders, part of our job is to deliver it, to be thoughtful about how we're communicating.
And that's not how we were raised. You and I did not grow up in a time where people cared about our feelings. We were called incompetent. We had stuff probably thrown at us.
I'm still called incompetent today. Right? And have stuff thrown at me, both at home and at work.
We were degraded. The way that they talked to us.
But that doesn't mean it's okay, right? That doesn't mean it's okay.
Doesn't mean it's okay. But it also comes to how people receive their information, and not everything we say is to make you feel like crap either. So.
I got something for you. One, I agree with you. And I'm this thing I have for you, and I don't know if I've mentioned it to you before. I might have, but I'm going to make a very specific recommendation because I agree with the idea. And I think that people put off on us as leaders their own childhood traumas and shit that they deal with. And now all of a sudden we got to deal with that at work. And the reality is we do. But I would encourage you to consider, this is what I did with my team when I first got there, because I recognized that I was going to be giving them constructive feedback about what they needed to do better and what they need to improve upon, as well as affirming feedback on what they did well, right? But I also felt comfortable saying that it's going to be a decent amount of constructive feedback. I need you to be able to hear it without getting all of these things in the way. And so what I did, one of the first things I did when I got to my new team is I implemented at our weekly meetings a book club. And the book club that I implemented was a book called Thanks for the Feedback. The art and science of receiving feedback. It is not about delivering. It is about, as the receiver of feedback, what gets in the way of me being able to hear it clearly? Why, when somebody says certain things, do I have these different reactions? Why do I have these thoughts in my head? It talks about all those things, what those triggers are that cause that. And I will tell you that helped tremendously, because my team, listen, they still struggle with getting feedback from me at times, but it's way less than it was when I first started. And I think a big part of it is because I did a book club. And so every week they would have to read one chapter in that book and we would discuss what was in that chapter. So we did an actual book club. And it took, I don't know, a year or something like that. I forget how long the book was, but it took a while for us to do it. But what it did was it started allowing them to take ownership of how they received my words. I was still doing my best to deliver it in a way that was less likely to trigger them and to have those negative impacts. But they now were starting to look at themselves and going, oh, I was triggered in this way because it was an identity trigger. Like they were able to start identifying those things. So something to consider. It's a really good book.
I think you're going to get maybe if you're lucky, you get half your team to actually read it, but everyone has to participate during.
Right, they're still hearing the stuff, right? You're
Yeah.
right. So you still get it, right? So that's still, because legitimately there were times when, as a leader, I didn't read that damn book, and it's not because I didn't mean to. I was just busy, right?
Yeah.
But 5 minutes for the meeting, I would be scanning through.
Skimming through and like, okay, here's something that stands out. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Finding something I can talk about, but then also hearing what they said, I learned from it still, right? So it's still the sort of situation where if you're participating, even if you're not actively participating, but you're listening, you're going to get something from it. I would encourage you to consider something like that because I know that was a struggle that I had, and it definitely helped me with my team. And I still give them pretty strong constructive feedback even up to this point. And it's still not easy and it's still difficult and I still wish it was easier. And sometimes I just go, dude, why don't you just be the easy dude?
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do it.
Why do you always got to push back on everything, right?
Yeah. So something to consider with your team. I don't know if that's a thing that you can do at your organization, but if you have team meetings, I would take 10 to 15 minutes of the team meeting each week. And that's what we would talk about. And I would say that that's paid dividends for us to the point now where my instructors it's the book they recommend more than any other book to supervise, because we teach supervisors across our organization to supervise. It's the book that gets recommended more than any other book, right? And I don't tell them they have to do that. I just think it was impactful for them. So, and when new people come to the team, I make them read it. Make them is a strong word. I ask them to read it on their own, just so they can catch up to where we are. So anyway, it's been a long podcast today, buddy, but a lot of good stuff that we got to talk about. Real stuff, real challenges that we're having.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't, I'm sure lots of people out there are having similar issues and trying to figure this stuff out, man. And
I don't think it's easy at any level, at any level at all. I mean, even when my boss gives me feedback and I chew on it, I might pull up with him a couple of days later and like, okay, let's talk about that now. Now I'm ready to talk about it, because when you hit me with it, I was a little taken back, and I think I do my job pretty well. So for you to hit me with this stuff based on what you may have heard, then I want to address it. And then we have to work that out as well, because again, it makes a difference who it's coming from and how then we have to receive it. And that's even with me having my years of experience of taking feedback, things still hit me because it comes from a different voice, and it comes from someone that can impact your growth. Yeah. Like you said, your money, your opportunities, and everything else. So and if you want to grow, you got to go to them and say, can you recommend me to this job as well? Because they're going to ask you, how did you score him? What do you think he would do in this role? How does he do in his current role? So it's a fine line. Like, okay, I'm pissed at this manager and I want to get out of this department, but I got to look like I'm a team player so I can get his recommendation as well, his or her recommendation. So the whole politics game is real, no matter, I think, where you are. But listening to your boss is challenging. I don't care what level you're at. It definitely impacts you, no matter how soft they say it sometimes. So I recognize that too. So. But yeah, I think it was good things. And, this is the time of year where everyone's affected by it, right? Beginning of the year is when all the quarterly reviews are happening, end of years may be happening, that getting ready for the mid-years are already happening, and people don't realize it. So yeah, I think this is a good conversation, good podcast in general. So yeah.
No doubt, man, no doubt. All right. Anybody want to shout out? Anybody, any sponsorships, anything like that you want to talk about?
I mean, we just finished Valentine's, and I just had my wife's birthday just before Valentine's. So she's been great. And
she must love early February.
Everything going on. Oh yeah. It's her time of year for sure. Yeah, it's her time of year for sure. So yeah, but no, she's been great and supportive through all this stuff. So yeah.
Good.
You? Who do you got?
Shout out my wife as well. We had a good Valentine's Day. We went to the New Edition concert. And I got to have some fun with that. That was actually on Valentine's Day, so that was That was really good. And
Did Bobby Brown show up?
he showed up. He did very little moving.
Yeah, I imagine.
They actually made fun of that. It was funny. At some point during the show, he was like, he was like, he did like a little quick. They made a whole thing about say, "Go Bobby, go Bobby," and he did a couple little baby dance moves, and then he stopped. And he was like, "Have y'all seen me dance before?" And it was like, "Yeah." He's like, "If you want to see me dance some more," I'm sorry, what he said. He was like, "Then Google me," and he stopped dancing. It was like, so it was funny, man.
Yeah,
they definitely brought him out for very specific things.
Call themselves old edition now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Old edition. Yeah.
Ain't nothing new about them. So.
Oh man, but yeah, it was good though. It was a good experience. It was good hanging out with some friends as well. So it was very nice, man. It was very nice. And then that's my shout out, my spot. And then shout out to my daughter. Her birthday was this week as well.
Right.
And so we spent some time with her, celebrating her. Been a big 2-7. At some point, I'm gonna be a child that's 30 years old, which is gonna be crazy. And then from a sponsorship standpoint, I want to shout out Elevate with Bish Bates, which is my consulting and YouTube channel. And I just want to say that for the 5 of you that watched my last video over the last month, I appreciate all 5 of you. I'm sure I know all 5 of you. I don't know why the rest of y'all jokers ain't watching it, but them 5 views I got, that's what's up. That's all I'm saying. 5 views.
It's very inspiring, man. It was nice. Yeah.
You one of them 5?
Yeah, you and Chris much nicer though. You're much much nicer. So
well, you know what? I actually chose Oakland Mills. This is my high school. I actually was gonna change, and then I was like, no, I want to. So shout out Oakland Mills High School here in Columbia, Maryland. But yeah, I decided to keep that on because I represent Oakland Mills. So the Scorpions. So, all righty, man. Well, look, it's always good talking to you. You have yourself a good week, and I'll talk again next week. Okay.
See you soon.
All right. Peace.
You've been listening to On Second Thought with Eric Ritchie and Bish Bates, where it's never too late to rethink, rewind, and revisit the conversation. If you laughed, learned, or had your own On Second Thought moment, go ahead and subscribe, share, and leave us a review. We want to hear your thoughts, even if you change them later. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at On Second Thought Show and join the conversation. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and don't be afraid to say, you know what? On second thought,